At the United Nations, Mike Pompeo drew a line in the sand.
Now it's time for every other nation to pick a side. No more delays, no more games. Either you stand with the forces of freedom, or you're in league with Maduro and his mayhem.
Sound familiar?
Either you're with us, either you love freedom and with nations which embrace freedom, or you're with the enemy.
Yes, their ideas are not new, but now they're linking arms in the global spotlight. Some call them the axis of evil or the troika of tyranny. Meet Mike Pompeo, ELLIOTT, Abrams, and John Bolton, the three amigos of imperialism. John Bolton was a big supporter of the Iraq War, and he represented the United States in the United Nations, an organization he really didn't care for very much.
The United States makes the UN work when it wants it to work. And that is exactly the way it should be, because the only question for the United States is what's in our national interest.
Now, Mike Pompeo is the new kid on the block without very much experience. As head of the CIA, he tried to get the authority to conduct drone strikes in Afghanistan without the Pentagon's oversight, and he worked day and night to rip up the Iran nuclear deal.
But at the center of it is an unprecedented campaign of economic pressure. Our objective is to starve the Iranian regime of the revenue it uses to fund violent and destabilizing activities throughout the Middle East and indeed around the world.
Now back in the spotlight after years of obscurity, meet convicted criminal ELLIOTT Abrams. He was tied to massacres in El Salvador, and he helped to funnel weapons to the Contras of Nicaragua. He was convicted for his role in covering it all up, and he received a presidential pardon. Now he's the special envoy for Venezuela. It seems that his record in Latin America has really impressed certain people. America's new dream team is now taking aim at Venezuela. Why? Because they just care so much for those poor, oppressed Venezuelans. They want them to have a chance at freedom and democracy, right? Or is it something else?
It'll make a big difference to the United States economically if we could have American oil companies really invest in and produce the oil capabilities in Venezuela. It'd be good for the people of Venezuela. It'd be good for the people of the United States. We both have a lot at stake here.
Yes, honesty is always appreciated.
It lends some credibility to the perception that the U.S. is just engaged in an act of imperialism on behalf of oil. And this is why I think this is really wrong. If Venezuela is going to get rid of Maduro and replace him and have new democratic elections, that should be an internal matter for Venezuela.
We know that sanctions don't work. The people who pay the price for sanctions are the local population. We saw that in Cuba. We've seen that in Iran. We've seen that in every case where sanctions have been applied. They do not achieve the end goal. What they do is increase the suffering for the Venezuelan population.
We asked people in Venezuela, the US and Britain what they thought about the new sanctions.
We need help from stable countries, and the US is a stable country.
I do not recognize Juan Guaido as the interim president, and the government of the U.S. must respect the position of us, Venezuelans, who have elected President Maduro via fair elections.
Well, yes and no, but there is some sense to it. Personally, I'd say they should intervene.
It is Venezuela that should solve the problems of Venezuela.
Seems to be a typical U.S. move to go for any nation that has an abundant amount of oil.
Venezuela is a country that's been around for a long time, and they should solve their own problems.
Sometimes you just need to go out there and just help them anyways, because, you know, it's not all about gaining something, it's about helping humanity and all that stuff. You just got to go out there and help.
I mean, if you want a proper democracy, then yeah, that's the best way to go forward.
Any idea where it is on the map?
I have no clue.
Capital of Venezuela? No.
President's name, or the current president as he is?
I wish I did, no.
The UK has backed calls for a new election in the country, and just wondered if you sort of agree that that would be the best way forward for Venezuela.
Well, it's up to what they want, isn't it? Not what I want.